Mark Sanchez and Fox sued over the bloody altercation in Indy. Plus, who's the new voice of NBC's Sunday Night Basketball? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Front Office Sports Today from FOS Studios in New York City. I'm Baker Machado.
And I'm Renee Washington, and thanks so much for joining us as each and every week that we're chatting the biggest stories in the business and culture of sports. Plus, the puck drops tonight. So ahead of a new NHL season, we've got TNT announcer Cathy Engelbert on to preview it. But first, let's dive into the shoot-around.
And let's start with LeBron, Renee, as the Hall of Famer's cryptic tweet on Monday announcing that he would be making a second decision about his future led retirement speculation ahead of his 23rd NBA season, and even saw the cheapest tickets to the final Lakers home game this year to skyrocket to over $600, according to TickPick. So what was the big announcement? Well, LeBron announced a new limited edition partnership with the cognac brand Hennessy. So Renee, LeBron really got a lot of people thinking maybe this was the end, but we all fell for it.
Not all of us. I kind of knew. But the first decision back in 2010, was such a viral moment. It set the precedent for players to be able to have control over where their future was going to be played. And this one set a whole new precedent and feels like the ultimate crossover of culture, sports, brands, building a legacy. I know that's something that his team has hit on, of the craftsmanship of his involvement. He's been involved with Hennessy in the past, but another limited edition that comes out does take this very viral moment to capitalize it on a very creative campaign. So shout out to him and Hennessy, because it blew up across social media, on his pages, on their pages, and it now has people, whether it's flocking to buy tickets or even just flocking to see what LeBron James is talking about. And this is what LeBron does. He continues to be one of the largest sports athletes to drive engagement.
And by the way, if the decision, which you correctly mentioned, was such a big viral moment, and this went viral, when he does announce that he is retiring, it likely will be as big of a spectacle or an announcement as we saw today. Meanwhile, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver addressed the ongoing feud between WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert and players for the very first time. Silver said he thinks a new collective bargaining agreement will be reached, but did acknowledge the league's current growing pains. Speaking at an event on Monday, Silver said, quote, Cathy Engelbert has presided over historic growth in the league, but there's no question that there's issues that we need to address with our players. He later added, quote, I'm confident we can fix those over time, and this league can continue on the rocket trajectory that it's on right now, Renee.
This is a record-setting season for the WNBA in terms of everything: revenue, markets, viewership, attendance, ticket sales, so many things they've been just incredibly successful at. So Adam Silver had to step in, as the NBA does oversee a lot of the operations for the WNBA, and also to make sure to remind people, wait, we also have a WNBA Finals series going on right now. So trying to keep the focus, keep the main thing, so to speak, because we also had Napheesa Collier come out again saying, she feels like Cathy Engelbert's denial of her conversation with Collier further proves what Collier, the coaches, and other players are saying about the leadership not having accountability. So they're not backing down. They've all been supporting Collier, and several have openly come out and saying they've been trying to have these conversations quietly with the league. No one's been listening, so now they're making people listen, and Silver had to step in to kind of set the record straight on their end.
And of course, the CBA expires here at the end of the month. Well, in a landmark move, the European soccer body UEFA will allow Italian and Spanish domestic league matches to be played in other countries, but only on an exceptional basis, with the UEFA president saying that league matches still primarily should be played on home soil. Italy's Serie A wants to stage a match between Milan and Como in Australia, and Spain's La Liga is looking to schedule a December meeting between Villarreal and Barcelona in Miami. Now, no European regular season league matches, Renee, have previously ever been staged abroad.
Very different from American leagues, as we see the NFL, NBA, MLB, so many leagues trying to grow their international presence to really tap into the financial components, the audience, just the opportunity there in terms of streaming and so many other things with international games. But soccer is the world's game is saying the opposite.
Yeah,
they're like, we want to stay true to the fact they're very big on the access for their fans, low ticket prices, being able to get to domestic games in their backyard, and also with the busy soccer calendar, managing their players overall, how much they're exerting and how much traveling they're doing. So they also made sure to say, as you mentioned, the commitment is clear to continue with those home games and continue to do what is best for them, even though we know that some of those leagues are trying to catch up with the Premier League.
Well, things have gone from bad to worse for Mark Sanchez after Indiana prosecutors filed new felony charges that could see the Fox broadcaster behind bars for up to 6 years. Now the other man in the altercation has sued both Sanchez and Fox, claiming the network should be aware of his unfitness and his propensity to drink. So let's take a look at this and more in today's main event. All right, let's bring in Ben Horney. He is the author of the Asset Class newsletter. So Ben, where do things stand right now with Mark Sanchez?
wild weekend for Mark Sanchez. As far as we know, Mark Sanchez is still in the hospital. Let me take you through what happened. So Saturday, there was an incident in early Saturday morning between him and this 69-year-old man. They got into an altercation. Both were severely injured. Sanchez was stabbed. That's why he's in the hospital. The other man had a severe laceration on his face. There's been some gruesome photos circulating online. I would advise people not watch them. And the fallout started happening pretty immediately. The following day, local prosecutors announced a few charges, misdemeanor charges against him. On Sunday, they added a felony charge. Or perhaps it was Monday they added the felony charge. It's all been happening so fast. And then also on Monday, the man sued Sanchez and Fox.
Right? Isn't that what his name is?
Yes, I know his name.
He's a 69-year-old man who was there because his job is to remove grease from kitchens.
Yeah.
So he had his truck parked to do his job, and for some reason, Sanchez didn't like where he was parked. We don't really know how the altercation started.
Yeah, and in that suit, PT has acknowledged in saying that Sanchez, quote, intentionally and unlawfully made harmful and offensive contact, and also in the suit included Fox saying that they should have known that he was unfit as an employee and has a propensity for drinking and or harmful conduct.
Yes.
In this civil lawsuit, what would Fox have to prove to negate the claims of why they decided to sue Fox?
Yeah, so you're innocent until proven guilty, right? So I think that it would actually be a high bar to prove that Fox did have knowledge that meant they should have not been employing Sanchez at this point. Nothing out there, as far as I know, is public that shows that they should have known. There would need to be some kind of evidence that Sanchez has been acting recklessly, has been getting drunk on the job, anything crazy like that, which, again, we just don't have the evidence for that. So it was definitely interesting that Fox was included. Sanchez being sued makes sense, especially if you saw the photos. Fox being included is...
Well, what's the goal in including Fox in this lawsuit unless the point is to settle?
So that might be it, right? Fox is obviously involved in many lawsuits, not just in sports, across the board all the time. They're a huge company. They have lots of resources, high-powered lawyers. And in a lot of lawsuits, instead of going through the suit, facing fact discovery, emails and texts coming out, having people need to be interviewed. Sometimes these big companies settle. So, I don't have any specific knowledge of that, but I could see that being the reason why the lawyers decided to include Fox.
Well, as you mentioned with those lawsuits, we've seen recently lawsuits from toxic workplace to sexual harassment and battery to failure to pay overtime wages, a number of lawsuits that Fox has been hit with from former employees as they're trying to grow and have partnerships like the one Barstool Sports.
Yeah.
Where does Fox Sports go from here? It feels like every few months we're hearing something else toxic coming out from the network.
Well, there is this pattern, right, of things happening with their personalities. So independently, the Sanchez thing doesn't really seem related to some of the other lawsuits that we've reported about and read about. But at the same time, is there a pattern of behavior? Are there hiring practices, shored up? Are there ways that they could be better looking into individuals who they're going to hire and keeping tabs on things? Maybe, but at the same time, you just don't know it. They could be totally independent of it.
Mark Sanchez's family released a statement, by the way, to the local Fox affiliate reporters who have been killing this story.
They were on the scene at 1 a.m.
Yeah, they've been doing such an amazing job at this. But anyway, the Sanchez family has said, obviously they're not commenting on all of this, but obviously this is a tumultuous time for the family.
Yeah.
But let's just say, hypothetically, Mark Sanchez could get 6 years in prison. I mean, what is the chances of that happening?
So with the new felony charge that was added, he faces between 1 and 6 years in prison. So that gives you, it's ultimately up to the judge, right? And it ultimately depends on all kinds of factors for what the sentencing would be. It feels unlikely he would get 6 years in prison, but at the same time, again, you don't know what the facts are going to be as they come out. Again, Mark Sanchez has made a lot of money in his career, so he could potentially settle. The fact that the suit was filed so quickly, and it didn't contain that much detail, it was a pretty quick, 11 or 12-page complaint. It was a lot of kind of generic legal terminology.
And no word on damages.
No word on damages. They just want, an unspecified amount of damages to be determined at trial. So it kind of felt like they wanted to quickly seize on the moment and say, hey, we're not going away. You're going to need to kind of be responsible for what happened.
We know, of course, you'll be on this story for every development that happens. Ben Horney, author of The Asset Class, which, of course, you can sign up for The Asset Class by going to frontofficesports.com. Coming up next, everyone, the puck drops for the start of the new NHL season, and TNT's Cathy Engelbert is going to join us to preview it next. And welcome back, everyone, to Front Office Sports Today with Renee Washington and Baker Machado. Well, the NHL is officially back, and the Florida Panthers are kicking off their title defense. This, of course, is the league is trying to build off the success from their Four Nations tournament last year. So let's get a preview of what to expect this NHL season. Let's bring in Cathy Engelbert, the Swiss Army knife of broadcasters, and, of course, the NHL announcer for TNT Sports. Kenny, great to see you, as always. So where do things stand right now for hockey fans for this upcoming season? What makes you really excited about this upcoming season?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, Baker, Renee. Great to see you as always. So excited about the start of the hockey season. October for sports fans and those of us who work in sports, always so much fun with hockey starting up, basketball just around the corner, football heading into the second quarter of the season, and the baseball playoffs underway. So great time of the year. And for the hockey fan, it feels like it was just mid-June when the Florida Panthers were wrapping up their second consecutive Stanley Cup win over the Edmonton Oilers. And here we are in early October. And, of the 32 teams, about 20 or maybe even more than that feel like they have a great shot to win it all this year. Only half of the teams in the NHL make it to the Stanley Cup playoffs. So the journey begins, and we'll see how it all plays out.
And Kenny, it's so hard to win a title at all, let alone back-to-back. And already a team like the Florida Panthers, the word three-peat's been thrown out there, of course. We've seen in sports across leagues, dynasties of teams that are vying for that three-peat. The Kansas City Chiefs last year in the NFL fell short to my Eagles of a three-peat. The Florida Panthers have a chance to do it in NHL. Do you think that's realistic, that the Florida Panthers can three-peat? Of course, it's such a long season, but your initial thoughts heading into the start of the regular season?
Well, you're right. It is so hard just to repeat, and you have to give the Panthers so much credit, not only for winning the back-to-back Stanley Cups, but for getting back to the final 2 seasons ago after they had lost to Vegas in the 2023 Cup final. They were the first team in a decade and a half to get back after losing. Pittsburgh and Detroit played in back-to-back Cup final series in 08 and 09, and the Red Wings won the first one, and then the Penguins got back the next year after losing and won the Cup. But no team had gone back after losing. It's such a grueling time of the year. In hockey, you have to win 4 best out of 7 series. And you look back to some of the dynasties, whether it was Montreal in the late 70s, and then the Islanders from 80 to 83, Oilers then winning 4 out of 5. They couldn't win that third straight in 86, and then won the next 2. And I've heard the story so many times from players on that Oilers team that in 83, when they lost to the Islanders in the final, a lot of them walked by their locker room and they looked in and they saw all of the Islander players with ice bags and bruises, bumps and bruises up and down their body. And, there wasn't as much celebrating as they expected once the team got into the locker room, because it was kind of the culmination of not only the 4 series they won that year, but what they had done over the previous 3 years as well. And, it's probably the hardest trophy in sports to win when you look at what the players have to go through and all of the injuries that we usually hear about after each team is finished in the playoffs. So for the Panthers just to get back there and then win, 2 in a row is an incredible feat. And, as far as the question, Renee, for this year, as far as a three-peat, they are certainly behind the 8 ball with the injury situation. First, Matthew Tkachuk, who will miss some time, and now losing their captain, Alexander Barkov, for what it sounds like will be the entire regular season. So with 2 of their top players out, but they re-signed just about everybody. As you guys know, they got the deals done with Brad Marchand and with Aaron Ekblad and Sam Bennett. So they have all their key players back. They have one of the top goalies in the league in Sergei Bobrovsky, but certainly won't be an easy task, at least during the regular season, without Barkov for the whole time and Tkachuk for a portion of the season. But still one of the top teams in the NHL, great coaching staff, and they obviously know what it takes to win. They've done it the last 2 springs.
Kenny, as I mentioned, the Four Nations tournament was a huge, smashing success for the NHL, so much so that all the other leagues like the NBA are also trying to figure out how they can make their own sort of tournament like this. But we did see the ratings dip in the United States for NHL hockey, but they went up in Canada. How do you sort of explain that? I mean, I know Canada loves hockey, but how do you sort of explain the differences of one going up and one going down?
Well, I didn't see the exact numbers, so I can't really comment on the ratings, but the ratings were unbelievable for the Four Nations, and then We had a great playoff run with TNT, which culminated with the Stanley Cup final. And, don't forget, this coming February, the Winter Olympics in Milan, and the NHL players will be going for the first time since 2014 because they did not go in 2018 in Pyeongchang. And then, due to the COVID situation and the condensed schedule, did not go in 2022. So a lot of the players that we saw at the Four Nations will be involved in the Olympics. It should be a tremendous tournament. I'll be over there along with Eddie Olczyk and Brian Boucher, so we can't wait to call another Olympic Games, first time with the NHL players in quite some time. So the ratings should be incredible for that. We have the NHL on TNT season opening doubleheader the first Wednesday of the regular season, the 8th, with Washington hosting Boston. Alex Ovechkin back at it, now chasing 900 goals. And then our crew will be in Vegas for the Golden Knights and the LA Kings on Wednesday. Also looking forward to working the Rangers for my 30th season.
Wow.
And the first year on the TV side with Dave Maloney on MSG Network. So a lot of excitement around the corner with TNT this year. We'll go through the conference final. We have the Stanley Cup final every other year. And we'll also have the Winter Classic between the Panthers and Rangers down at Marlins Park in early January. So we look forward to that as well, or New Year's Eve, I should say.
Plus all of his NFL on Fox stuff.
I
He's
was going to
busy.
say, incredible, all the great things that you've got lined up. And I'm curious, though, without the NBA, have you noticed any changes in how TNT is covering the NHL or looking to cover the NHL this season, maybe even prioritizing it in terms of approaches? Have you seen any other changes in what you guys are doing internally?
Well, TNT has certainly prioritized hockey over the last 4 years. This is our 5th year coming up. And by the way, it is January 2nd. It was New Year's Eve last year in Chicago. So the Winter Classic, Rangers and Panthers, January 2nd, a Friday down at Marlins Park. But Renee, there will be some more dates, 72 total games this year. With the departure of the NBA, there are more nights of the week available for hockey on TNT. So it won't only be Wednesdays. The last 4 years, it was every Wednesday and then some Sundays at the end of the season. But this year, there'll be some Mondays, some Tuesdays as well. So it's a record number of games on TNT for the NHL this year. The great studio crew with Liam McHugh, Anson Carter, Paul Bissonnette, Henrik Lundqvist, Wayne Gretzky. They'll be back. They'll be in Las Vegas with us for the opening game on Wednesday between the Golden Knights and the Kings. So, yes, there will be more games, even more games on TNT this year, the NHL on TNT. And certain weeks, there will be multiple nights of the week as well.
Oh, yeah.
Hardest working man
Can't
in
wait.
the sports broadcasting biz. Cathy Engelbert, of course, you can watch him on TNT with the NHL and, of course, on MSG here in New York as well. Kenny, thank you so very much for your time and for joining us again here on Front Office Sports today.
Thanks, Baker. Thanks, Renee. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kenny. We got a lot more show headed your way, everyone, right after this quick break. And welcome back, friends, to Front Office Sports Today. That's Renee, and I'm Baker. A new Tampa Bay Rays owner, Patrick Zalewski, met the media for the very first time, addressing the future of the baseball team in the Tampa area, as well as any hopes for a new stadium. This is their current home. Tropicana Field will finally be rebuilt in time to play for next season. So let's bring in FOS reporter Eric Fisher for more. So, Eric, what did Patrick Zalewski say in his first remarks here?
So a lot of this, as you would expect, focused around the new stadium. They sort of talked about this almost like adopting a pet. They need a new forever home, and that's been the existential question around this franchise for a very long time. And he's got very aggressive dreams around this. Wants to build a mixed-use development similar to what the Braves have with the Battery in Truist Park. Wants it to open by at least the stadium part by 2029, which is very aggressive, and wants to get this rolling, which means striking some kind of land deal in the coming months.
Yeah, this 100-acre proposed deal that we've heard, which, as you mentioned, includes so many different amenities and attractions that will draw people in, something that they talk about for the long-term future of the organization. Do you think this really quells and dispels any sort of concerns that people have had around what the front office is doing to build for the future for Tampa Bay?
Yeah, so a big part of this new ownership has been striking deep roots in Tampa and staying in that market. And if you remember, we talked extensively about this with the MLB commissioner, Rob Manfred, at our Tuned In event. And Rob, as he has been for a very long time, is 100% committed to the Tampa market, making it work there, and these new owners want to do the same.
We also know Tampa has always been one of the scrappier teams in terms of payroll, but always have been able to find a way through analytics and minor league players to really be competitive. Are the economics of how the team is going to pay for players and their payroll going to change anything with this new ownership group?
Certainly not radically at the outset, but if this whole mixed-use development, the real estate piece really comes together, there could be a pathway to at least them being sort of more like a middle market franchise in terms of their economics, because that's a big part of the whole contemplation of these mixed-use developments around sports facilities, that it's not just about enhancing the fan experience, and certainly that's a fundamental part of it, but it's also bringing in additional sources of revenue beyond the core things like tickets and media. Those things, as it relates to the Rays, are pretty well known and spoken for, so this provides a new pathway for growth.
And shifting from the external factors to the internal, with this new ownership group, what do you know regarding the day-to-day operations and how they're going to be developing an infrastructure in terms of their roles and processes?
So a little bit of change and a little bit of status quo. The baseball operations side of the house, led by Eric Neander, that's going to be staying the same. And these new owners really sort of want to take more of a hands-off role as it relates to those on-field operations, that they feel like, to your prior point about the scrappiness, that there's a good infrastructure there. On the business side, new leadership there, that the new CEO is a gentleman named Ken Babby, who is going to be part of the ownership group as well. And he's had a great deal of success, particularly running minor league teams. He's sort of getting his own kind of career call up, so to speak. He's very well thought of. I've known Ken for a long time. And so he's going to be leading the business operations, and there should be sort of a new dynamic coming out of that side of the house.
The Rays had to play their last season at the Yankees minor league stadium nearby as Tropicana Field was being rebuilt from damage from a hurricane. Eric, are there any updates to how that progression on Tropicana Field is going, and is the expectation it will be ready for opening day next year?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. There already has been a 2026 schedule for Major League Baseball released that fully contemplates the Rays getting back in there. There'll be a short road trip to start the season, and then they'll be right back in there in the beginning of April. The work that's being done primarily by the city is going very well. It's kind of actually gathering steam. There's a lot of confidence that that's going to be ready. And in fact, Ken Babby during the press conference says once that happens, the Trop's going to look better than it ever has looked. So not only to where they were before, but even a little bit better with some new fan engagements.
Definitely exciting times as they're looking to have, as you mentioned, that world-class ballpark for the Rays built by 2029. So finally getting some of the pieces of the puzzle together for the Rays.
Good news for Rays fans indeed. Eric Fisher, thank you so much as always. And let's see what's bubbling over at the FOS water cooler. Well, Renee, NBC is hoping that Lenny Kravitz will give Sunday Night Basketball the kind of opening that Carrie Underwood gave Sunday Night Football. That's when he stars in NBC's opener for its Sunday night NBA coverage starting on February 1st when football's finally over. And no, Round Ball Rock is not going anywhere. It will still remain the theme song for the NBA on NBC. Kravitz only going to be used on Sundays for the network's primetime games. So what do we think about Lenny Kravitz doing
Don't
this?
rush us so quickly out of the NFL season, first of all. But it is incredible what Carrie Underwood's song brings to make Sunday Night Football a must-watch. It's an event, it's an experience, it's exciting. And I think Lenny Kravitz, who's a 4-time Grammy winner that transcends so many genres, so many generations, crosses over into a lot of different fans around the world, honestly, and what Lenny Kravitz can do in performing. And I know he mentioned how thrilled he is to be a part of it. NBC is bringing out all the stops in their return back to the NBA. It's been 2 decades, and they're making sure to tap into the nostalgia, to tap into, what makes the hair on our arms stick up, so to speak. And I think Lenny Kravitz, come February 1st, with a doubleheader no less, we're all going to be waiting to hear what that song sounds like and to see it displayed.
And it's also NBC's continuing sort of takeover of Sunday night. Basically, every Sunday night, it's either a football game or a basketball game, and if they get Major League Baseball rights, which it seems like they might, Sunday night will always be a big game on Sunday.
And bringing back Round Ball Rock.
Yes,
why not have one of the most prominent rock performers of all times that sold out worldwide in Lenny Kravitz? I love it.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this edition of the show. Tomorrow, we got big women's sports investor Alexis Ohanian joining the show. We'll see you next time.